UCMC of reforms continues its work. Now we'll be talking about privatization 2016, what it should be on the results and plans for the future. The head of the State Property Fund of Ukraine, Igor Bilous. You're welcome. Good afternoon, esteemed colleagues. 1 year has passed since I came to the State Property Fund. Within this year, we formed a team. A lot has been done, a lot hasn't been done. I would like to sum up our activities for a year today and tell you briefly about the achievements that we have. Maybe not all of them are known to all, and about the achievements in privatization, about the certain novelties that we launched with our team. The first I would like to mention is on changes in the work of the State Property Fund itself. Well, first thing I would like to mention is that the personnel has been reduced by 30%. The quality of work hasn't deteriorated. We are looking at how we can optimize the work, improving efficiency, using new processes and functions of privatization. Second, the team for the first time has done inventory of all the objects which are under management of the fund. We are talking about small privatization. There are about 1,000 of such objects. Now information about each one of them, together with photographs, you can find on the website of the State Property Fund. Number 3, we have for the first time opened the database where we have more than 20,000 lease agreements. No one has done that before. This information should be public, should be accessible to any person in Ukraine and outside. Also, we twice increased the areas which we can lease out. Also, you know how difficult it was. Many times we were in the parliament today. We can say that the 5 items that we introduced into the loan privatization now bring fruit. What have we changed? First is prohibition to participate in privatization for the country's aggressors, also inviting the advisors to the privatization. That is the world experience, global experience. Third is canceling 5% consolidation of package of shares for strategic investors. We are not selling minority shares of packages of strategic companies. Also, if we allow Western corporations with the state capital to participate in Ukrainian privatization. That was somewhat disguised in Ukrainian legislation, and the processes were not clear, and many investors were afraid to do that. Then international arbitrage, that is what allows the foreign investors to have the feeling that they are protected. We have large privatization of Odessa port plant. We will soon start big privatization of Obelenергos, then Centerenergo, and other companies. I hope that this will happen this year. The next, we introduced the new methodology of assessment and the rules of selecting assessors. We have the audit of operational activity. We have independent assessment of the control package of shares. We have unbiased system of selection of assessors without the influence of the human factor. This way we have very transparent, professional process and very good results. We launched a new web portal which includes full legislative information and technical information on what the State Property Fund is doing in directions, assessment, lease, privatization, and corporate management. For the first time, we launched the selling of the objects at electronic trade. 25% of objects were sold this way in the past. Now you can buy these objects from any point in Ukraine, from any location in Ukraine. By internet, people can go to our web portal and execute agreements. Number of sold objects is now 30% more than last year. We received 130% more money for privatization. That is all on small privatization. Small privatization is not what most people are interested in, but I can tell you that 2/3 of the objects of privatization are small privatization. Then for the first time we started Dutch auction that allows the state to sell non-liquid objects. That's the best way to sell technologically obsolete objects. I mentioned that inventarization gave us more than 1,000 objects of small privatization. Also, the objects which are not part of statutory capital, there are about 2,000 of them, and they potentially can be transferred from the ministry to the state property fund. In total, I believe we will have about 5,000 objects, and that is an inseparable part of the success of privatization. For the first time, we start auctions without stating the price. In June, the first one of such auctions will start, and we will be selling the companies which were not in demand at classical or Dutch trades auctions.
For example, Slobodski plant of reinforced concrete products. Look at these pictures. This is this plant, so-called plant. Actually, it has no value, absolutely no value for us. That's why we will offer all these objects for potential investors. Also, let me describe in more detail the privatization of some specific objects. First of all, the Odessa seaport plant. The starting price is at the level of 13 billion 750 million. Now, the privatization conditions are already coordinated with all the agencies. Very soon they will be published by the Cabinet of Ministers. We expect that not less than 5 strategic investors will participate in the auction. Our work is to involve as many as possible investors. We disseminate information teaser to more than 30 potential investors in our with our fund. We have Ernst & Young and some other international companies which prepare audits and all the required documentation. Also, very soon we will present to you special manager appointed to deal with this very transaction. This is intended to ensure 24-hour-day services to potential investors and to ensure equal conditions for all the investors. Besides Odessa plant, the Gaivaran wagon repair plant will be offered for selling in July Odessa plant, then Ternopil Arion plant in September, Transcaucasian electric automation plant. As for Oblenerga, we are currently preparing 6 packages for 6 Oblenerga for Center Oblenerga, and due to USAID and the UK government, we managed to involve consultants for proper preparation of all the tender documentation, and currently we work intensively on financial assessment of these enterprises, and in early autumn we will announce official privatization, and then 30 days late the official procedure will be started. In order to attract more interest from foreign investors, we jointly with donor organizations decided to have international energy conference in early summer, and present new, more attractive tariffs, energy tariffs. You know that we are now preparing the Oblenerga privatization. So before doing this, we decided to invite potential investors and to discuss the issues which under discussed in Ukraine, to consult with the CEOs of that Oblenerga and discuss the degree of attractiveness of this sector. All of us understand that the success of energy privatization, energy sector privatization very much depends on this privatization of Oblenerga. We expect to have this conference. We put many hopes on it that those speakers who agreed to come, they will arrive, and it will allow to raise the profile of this sectoral privatization in Ukraine and among our neighbors. The first year of our work allows us to recognize honestly that currently we are launching the most transparent privatization process from the moment of gaining independence by Ukraine, and moreover, this process is one of the most transparent in the world and one of the most open. In order to discuss this in more detail, I would like to invite Andrei Gaidutsky to the microphone. He will describe the web page, a new web page of our website about small privatization and how it will allow potential investors to find information.
Thank you. I'm Andrei Gaidutsky, the Deputy Head of the State Property Fund of Ukraine. I'm responsible for privatization. I am responsible for developing strategy in this direction. We have analyzed the best practices in privatization. We came to the conclusion it should be very simple. It should be 1 or 2 steps there. Before, to find the object for privatization, you had to go to the website, make 10-15 steps, and only then you will find not even complete information about the object which is for sale. Today we would like to present you new web page. It's called Privatization Go UA. Transparent privatization has started. Why it has started? Because now in one click you will see all the objects which go for privatization. Now there will be all the objects which we are planning to sell after the auction is announced. Here there's a DSA plant. You're asking where is it? We are waiting for the decision of the Cabinet of Ministers. After that, we hope during a week we will announce when the auction will take place. Today we have about 35 objects. You just go down and you see new and new objects on your monitor. Today it's about 30 objects. Down there are our donors. Here, let's go into one of the objects to understand how it's all done. Here you can briefly see the region where it's sold, the starting price, the guaranteed contribution, date and time of auction, the information which you need to understand whether you want to participate in privatization. For example, the plant of rubber technical goods in Bilous. There's more detailed information about that. You can see who's responsible for preparation. Usually it's the regional Department of State Property Fund and who's controlling. This allows to control the quality of preparation, and the potential participant, if it feels that something wrong is going on, can call the department which is controlling. To the right you can see the timer which shows how much time is left till the dead end for receiving applications, the bids. This way we show when all the documents are to be submitted. Then the main page. Down there our main thesis, transparency, honesty, professionalism. Then successful privatization, there are 12 objects. There are some which were incomplete constructions, then the residential houses, dormitories, everything that is functioning successfully, everything that creates jobs. You can get to any of these objects and you will see a brief information on it. Also, I would like to mention that now we see all the objects. You can select real estate companies. You can go to one of the regions of Ukraine. 95% of the objects for privatization are bought by local businesses. It will be convenient for them to find the object in their region. If there's no object in this region, you will see that there are no objects in this region. Please leave your email. We will inform you when we have one. To help potential participants of the privatization, we have created if you go to this object again, you can ask question. There's the topic. You need to leave your email and the question, and the head office will receive this information. We are controlling the preparation by regional departments of the objects for privatization, because they prepare all the objects, and we are just a controlling body. This is briefly about the website Privatization Go UA. We hope that it is transparent, that it will become an example for many countries of the world. Thank you.
We would like to be able to present our information for investors easily, simply, and clearly. The information will be presented in 3 languages, in Ukrainian, in English, and in Russian, to make it more available for investors. Currently, we work carefully on redrafting the law on privatization, where we will try to change the approach to the privatization objects, cut down the period of preparation to privatization, especially for very big enterprises. The current process is very cumbersome, and we will do our best to make it as quickly as possible. And very soon we expect to present our revolutionary draft law. With this, I would like to finish to be able to answer your questions. No input to the microphone. Cannot hear the question. Since there is translation, will you please repeat your question? Currently, the State Property Fund owns Pat Center Energa, and the regulator had raised the price of coal, which is used for energy generation. All those money go to the terrorist territories, and at the same time privatization is postponed till next year. How can you delay with privatization of the enterprise, which raises so many questions for more than a year? I explained that that privatization should be done professionally, clearly, and first we have to work on all the information details. We recently had received shares. Now we have to carry out the shareholders meeting. We have problems with the CEO of this enterprise. Then we will need to select the experts, to create a pool of experts who who will need to work for 3 up to 5 months and then develop the privatization package to prepare necessary audits. This is a set of audits: environmental audit, financial audit, etc. So, keeping all this in mind, I can say that Center Energa is a very complicated object for privatization. And in the midst of heating season, it will be almost impossible to privatize it. As of the moment, we can control this enterprise exclusively via the supervisory board. Please understand that we have no relation to the supplies of coal. I can promise you that we will transparently inform you about what's going on Center Energa. And I can promise to do my best to prevent the scandals which we had with the Odessa seaport plant. Now we have a positive experience, and we will prevent this to happen in the future. And we will be ready to inform you about the course of privatization of Center Energa. And we will try to manage this object as transparently as possible. Please understand that being a manager of this, being a manager of the shares of this property, we have no relation to the actual running of the business, and this is even more complex privatization than even of Odessa seaport plant. This is the object of working in Ukraine. In order to be able to privatize it, we need to launch the reforming the entire energy sector. With the Odessa seaport plant, it's easier. The problems related to Odessa seaport plant are not of that scale in terms of their systemic nature as the set of problems related to the Center Energa. I invite you to our conference on May 28th, and we will discuss the set of issues related to it. This is in our plan for this year, but physically we won't be able to finalize the preparatory process by the end of this year to ensure transparency. This will be probably first quarter of next year. Natalka Prutka, Glavcom. Center Energa comprises two plants, one Starobashevska heating power plant, the second part of it on controlled territories. How can you ensure privatization? And the second question about Starobashevska, how you will be to attract investors to Obolenergo, keeping in mind non-payments in the market and military actions in the East. In all Obolenergo, we currently plan to have the shareholders meetings. We expect to have new supervisory boards in all of them in line with new legislation, which was recently passed by the parliament. In all Obolenergo, we will have new CEOs, especially in Zaporizhia. recently we had trouble, or we had delays because of the change of government, and currently we managed to launch again, to relaunch the entire process in the parliament. We requested the cabinet to allow us to move forward without coordinating each our step with them. That is the first step forward within 60 days. Oblenergo, of course, they are monopolists, but we expect to have the reference tariffs, and this would allow us to get rid of excessive politicization and to get better competition, to create better competition for potential investors. Центренерго, we have Вуглегірська, Трипільська, Зміївська heating plants. So Vuglegirska power plant is 40 kilometers from the front line. It is in our territory. This is one of the most efficient generation plants working now. I plan to visit it, but nevertheless, I visited Tripilska, which is the most close to Kiev. As for me, I do not see any problems with privatization of all those power plants. I do not think that we should split Centrenergo into three parts. I think that it's not right to do this before carrying out final analysis, final audits and final analysis. As far as I remember, we will sell 78.5% of Centrenergo in one package and look for right investor. This is again more complicated privatization object against Odessa seaport plant, because the last one is fully modernized, while Centrenergo is not modernized at all. Dear colleagues, we exhausted our time, and please, you can continue your communication in the corridors. Thank you.